Hi, I'm Pete, and this is my tutorial for the 3x3 Mix-Up Plus from Whitheden. So here is the 3x3 Mix-Up Plus from Whitheden. My last video I showed the 4x4 Mix-Up Plus, this solution. And one of the things I want to work on with this video, one of the reasons I wanted to make it, besides just having some fun making a video, is I want to do a better job of explaining how to get from the scrambled state, the non-cubic scrambled state, into the scrambled state. Okay, so in its basic form, this is just like a 3x3. It has the centers, it has the edges and the corners, but you'll notice that there's some extra pieces in the Mix-Up Plus, and those extra pieces, I'm going to call those inner edge pieces. Okay, so this part, let me just get some more contrast here. This part with the two stickers on it, we'll call that the edge, and then I will call this piece an inner edge piece. And so there are two inner edge pieces associated with each edge. And the reason I'm associating with the edge is that in the 3x3 solve, which is the last part of this, they're joined together and as a composite edge. Okay, so that's why I call them inner edge pieces. So before we get started with the Mix-Up Plus solve, I'll tell you a little bit about some of the moves that it can make that are different from a 3x3 Rubik's Cube. And one of the moves that it can make that's different is this 45-degree turn, and then you can knock out an edge, and so that's kind of neat. And you see that you end up with these inner edge pieces kind of sticking out. Now the inner edge pieces can be oriented flat the way they are. If they're flipped around, then they'll actually stick out. Okay, and we're gonna actually, I'll show you how to get those back into place during the solve. Okay. Now my solution outline I put in a comment along with the algorithms I'm using. There's not that many algorithms. The main thing I expect you to bring to this is that you know how to solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube, because you'll be doing that at least twice on the Mix-Up Plus. Normally we would maybe scramble a cube off camera, but because the Mix-Up Plus is a bit of a unique puzzle, I'm just going to go ahead and scramble it on camera just to show you how it scrambles, and maybe to give you some ideas of how we're going to scramble this thing. Right now I'm just scrambling it just like a regular Rubik's Cube, 3x3 cube. No big deal there. But you'll notice that it's not knocking loose the inner edge pieces. They're all joined together, and in fact, if you just kept scrambling this, you really could just solve it just like a Rubik's Cube with no other changes. So we really want to make this a fun solve, so let's knock loose these inner edge pieces. You do a 45-degree turn, and then you just turn it like that, and you can also do that sort of turn. Now, and just keep turning like that, and we do more turns. Unlike the 4x4 Mix-Up Plus, this doesn't block at all as you're doing these shape-shifting turns. You can always turn all the faces. The 4x4, some of the edges, because they're split edges, if they get turned around the wrong way, they will block turning of the puzzle. So this one's a lot easier to get everything nicely scrambled up for us. So, alright, we'll do that. Now, as I'm going through this solution, I may go a little faster than you're comfortable with at times. You know, it's just you have to sort of find a balance, I guess, when you're doing these. But if you do find me going a little fast, feel free to just pause the tape, the video, back up the video a little bit, or whatever you need to do. Okay, sometimes may need to re-watch something. But if you're still stuck, feel free to, or if you're still confused about something, if I haven't explained something well, feel free to put a comment in the comments, ask me a question, or even send me a private message on YouTube. Okay, I have no problems. I look forward to answering your questions. Okay, and any comments you have. Well, now I scramble this up. I hope I've scrambled up fairly thoroughly, and there we go. So now it's time to unscramble the Mixup Plus 3x3, and my strategy for unscrambling is a very basic strategy. I'm going to put the edges and the centers where they belong, and that's all. I'm not going to worry about the inner edge pieces for now, and the reason for that will become clear as we go through the rest of the solve. But all I want to do is put the edges where they belong and the centers where they belong. So I'll show you some strategies for that. Now what I have here is an edge on the top and an edge on the bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to orient the edge properly, and that's this way, and you'll see why in a second. And what I want to do is I want to put a center in the front right, and I want to put another center in the back left. So we'll just look around and we'll find the center. So here's a center down here, and I'm just going to move it. So now I have a center in the back left and a center in the back right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a, that is an E minus turn. That's a 45-degree turn of the E layer, and I've moved the center in here, and I've also moved the center in the middle of the, where the center goes in the back face. And now I'm going to do an M turn and move that edge down, and at the same time I move the other edge. Now I made a mistake here, so I'm just going to fix that. I'm going to undo the M turn, and somehow I don't know, oh yes, when I was reorienting things I forgot to check that I had that. So that's why they have to go in this orientation, because when they come down now they are the edges properly oriented. And then we do an E plus turn, which is a 45-degree turn of the E layer. So I put that corner, excuse me, I put that edge in, and I put that edge in. Okay, so let's see, what's the next one? So I have this, and I have another one here. Okay, so this is going to be my strategy. I'm going to and put this one, put this edge in, and put that edge in. So here's a center, and I'm going to move it to the front right, and here's another center, and I'm going to move it to the back left. And it doesn't matter what the colors are. I don't care about the colors. Now I have this edge so that the slopes are on the left and the right. Same here, and this will make it oriented properly when I put them in the E layer. So there you go. So I have that. Now where are we going? Okay, so not so bad. Now I have one edge jutting out, and I will have no trouble finding a center here. But there's a problem with trying to put a center in like this, and you may have experienced this if you've been playing with the Mixup already. If I were to do this and then try to put this edge in, what happens is we're going to knock a proper edge out of its position, so we actually can't do that. Okay. But the solution for that is pretty straightforward, and it's just a little trick, and it works perfectly every time. When you only have one edge and no other edges in the center, what you do, put the one blank, one empty center in the front right, and then do an E minus turn, and then do an S turn. Okay, and what that does is it puts one corner, what that does is puts one edge in place, okay, and it knocks out one edge here and one edge here. And then we will put things back. It's that one edge is misoriented, but that's not a big deal. Well, now that I have two edges, I can go ahead and find my two empty centers. There's one here, and I put it in the front right, and it's already in the back right, but if it wasn't, I would just use regular 3x3 turns to move that there. And we'll put the bottom one in the correct orientation, and then we'll do that little trick I showed you earlier where we move the E layer 45 degrees counterclockwise, and then move this edge into place and that edge into place, and then we can put the E layer back, and it doesn't matter whether they go plus or minus on that. So what that did was it got all of the edges in their proper positions. Now there are a couple that are not oriented correctly, and that is very straightforward to fix. You may be able to tell by now that I really like working with this front right. It's just I'm right-handed, I'm right eyeballed, and it just makes it easy for me to see what I'm doing here. So there's the front right. I'm going to turn the E layer 45 degrees counterclockwise. I'm going to do an M, I believe that's an M prime. Do a U minus or U plus, a U prime or U, doesn't matter. Sorry, a U2. No, it's a U. Anyway, and then bring it down. And that didn't do anything to the back. We didn't change it. What happened was when we had this up, the other edge was on the bottom, but we didn't change the bottom. So that's how to orient the edges. And so here's one here. I'm just going to rotate the whole cube. So let's orient this one here. So we're going to do this little move. We'll do that little move. I'm not going to try and describe the notation because I think I'll probably get it wrong. There we go. We have that oriented properly. The one down below, interestingly, it wasn't oriented properly. So let's just go ahead and orient it. And so there you go. Wow, this is looking great. So now we have more or less restored the Mixup Plus to cubic form. The inner edge pieces that are sticking out, we're going to leave those for now. And I'll explain why in the next section, or sorry, the next part. And I'll explain why. So we have our Mixup Plus 3x3 back to cubic form. The inner edge pieces, some of them are sticking out, they're flipped around, but there's a very easy way to fix that, but it's not time to fix those yet. What I'm going to do now is I want to do a test solve. So we're not going to put the inner edge pieces together, we're not going to fix those, we're just going to quickly solve the puzzle to see if we have parity problems and fix them. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to put the centers where they belong. And you notice this is another big difference between the Mixup Plus and the Rubik's Cube. The Mixup Plus, the centers can be misoriented. So there's the white, there's the yellow, so those are correct. And what I need here is blue, orange, green, and red. And what I have, let's see, okay, blue. Okay, so what will happen here, if I exchange the blue and the red centers, then I think that will give my put my centers correct. Now, because we're not worried about breaking the inner edge pieces, we'll just do the very simple version of the face swap, where we do the E layer, move the E layer 45 degrees, and then do an F. Or you can do it on the R side, it doesn't matter. Okay, and so that exchanged the blue and the red faces. So now, how am I doing? I have yellow. I have, whoops, from yellow, what did I do? Yellow, B-O-G-R, white still on the bottom, perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to solve the Rubik's Cube using just the edges, just the small edges. I'm not going to look at the colors at all, and it's a little complicated, I admit that. If you wanted to skip that step and just go ahead and solve the cube, that's fine, you can do that. Put the inner edges into place and solve it, it'll be fine. It's just that, well, if you get a parity case, which on this cube is quite a high probability, actually your probability is 50-50 of the two parities, so each one has a 50% probability. So it just means that you'll have to resolve the whole cube, including the centers, if you go that way. So this test solve will just save you a little bit of time. So I'm going to go ahead and make my cross. So this is green and white right here, and I'm only looking at this part. So here's the green. So this is a pretty, should be pretty mundane stuff. So I'm going to go through this fairly quickly here because this is just basically solving a Rubik's Cube. Okay. So, okay, and okay, so the method I'm using to solve the Rubik's Cube is the Friedrich method, or F2L method, I guess. And I'm not using a real speed solving version of it, but this cube works quite nicely, and I really, it's a pleasure to solve, and it is quite fun to work with. Oops. Okay, so I'm just solving the inner edges, and oops, made a mistake there. I hope nobody noticed that I made a mistake. Okay. And recognition of the pieces is maybe just a little slower. And let me see here. So if you solve this for the first time and you don't get any parity cases, then you'll be very lucky. And what you should do is just mix your cube up again until you get a parity. So what we have here, this is yellow, and that's yellow, that's not, and that's not. So we have a line, a standard line. Okay, we're back. I have my line, and I'm going to solve that. I have my cross. This looks like a soon. Okay, I've done my soon, and I have my back. Now, we didn't have the flipped edge parity, which I'll show you later, but we actually have to solve all the corners to know if we have the swapped edge parity, which happens, as I said, in about 50% of the cases. And the thing is that when this happens on the Mixup Plus, we just don't have the tools in the 3x3 solution set to be able to address it. In the 4x4 it's quite easy. Okay, so you see what's happened here. I do have the swapped edge parity issue, and it will show up in two possible ways. It shows up as just two edges that are swapped, and you notice the other ones are correct, but two of them are swapped, and that is impossible to fix on a regular 3x3. So I will show you how to fix that. If it's solved, if you didn't have this swap, then what you would do is just skip the very next step. So we have our test solved. We didn't do a lot of work on the inner edge pieces, but we got to see that we do have the parity, and so I'm going to fix that now, and it's fairly destructive, which is why I didn't want to waste a lot of time fixing up the cube until we solve this. Once we solve this, then we can go back to fixing things. So the algorithm is from the Mixup Plus, and what you do is you do the same algorithm 4 times, and then you do the first half of the algorithm one more time. So the algorithm goes, we're going to start here, we're going to use the E layer, and it's an R, U, R prime, E minus, minus being a half, or 45-degree turn, and then it's R, U prime, R prime, E minus. Okay, so that's 1. You do that 4 times, so we've already done it once, so R, U, R prime, E minus, R, U prime, R prime, E minus, that's twice, R, U, R prime, E minus, R, U prime, R prime, E minus, that's 3 times, R, U, R prime, E minus, R, U prime, R prime, E minus. Now that was 4 times, and then you do it the half time, which is just the first half of it, which is R, U, R prime, E minus. And you know you have it right because everything is back to where it belongs. Now if you were to do this on a solved cube, you would have dislodged some of these inner edge pieces. They'd be jutting out, and that's why I want you to do a test solve. Okay, and we can actually test this now. If we were to put it back to together, you don't have to, but you'd actually see that now that everything. Actually, let's do that. This is just to demonstrate that this actually works. It's not for any other reason. So let me just fix up the edge here. Okay, this is not really part of the solution, but I just will show you that it actually does work. What do I have here? Yeah, I don't even know what that is. Okay. Oh. Okay, so, and now what we have is this one's correct, and you see I have 3 that are out of place, and we can use our standard 3 cycle on the edges to put them back. So you see that moving that E layer around the way I did fixed our parity issue. Okay, so you don't have to do that. You could just stop once you do the E layer. I just wanted to show you that it does fix the problem. Now imagine if you would have spent all the time to fix up all these inners and then got to that part, you'd be fixing them all back up again. Now you don't have to worry about, you didn't have to worry about wrecking them. What we've done, we did our test solve. We found a parity issue. We applied the algorithm to fix it, and now we're going to actually do the final step to restore the Mixup Plus to cubic. Now there's a very handy algorithm that is in the comments for this that will, it flattens out 2 inner edge pieces, the one in the top back and the one on the front right. So let's put one on the front right. Now I will tell you that if possible, I would use edges that have 2 reversed inner edge pieces first, because you don't want to get to the point where you have one left over and they're both on the same edge, because you need them separate. And it is possible to separate them, but just easier just to get rid of them at the first. So start with, as much as possible, start with the ones that have 2, put one of them at the back and then one of them at the right. And okay, so the algorithm to do this, which it's the same one as I used on the 4x4, and so it's E plus, M plus, F2, oops, M minus, B, which is a 90-degree turn, watch that, M plus, F2, M minus, B prime, which is a 90-degree turn, and then E minus. Okay, and it flattened that, and it flattened that one. Well, you're going to repeat that for each and every one of these. So this one has 2, so I'm going to put it to the back, and I'm going to, this looks pretty good over here, so I'm going to move that there, and I'm just going to repeat that several times. So that was E plus, M plus, F2, M minus, B, M plus, F2, M minus, B prime, and A minus. Okay, and it flattened those. So here's a nice one right there. That looks good. And we'll just want to make sure that there are none. Oh, here's one that has two. So actually, I use that as my my upper. There we go. Okay, because I don't want to get into a situation where I have to separate those. It's not hard, but it just adds complication. Okay. And one more pair to do. Now, as you see me struggling with some of these moves, keep in mind that I'm holding, for the purposes of photography, I'm holding the puzzle at a bit of an awkward angle. And I think that's really what, I mean, it does catch a little bit, but really this it's not nearly as bad as it looks when I'm sort of struggling to line things up. You do have to keep a firm grip on the puzzle and make sure everything's nice and lined up, but it really does turn very nicely. Okay, well, here we are. Everything is back to cubic form, and in the next step I will show you how to pair up the inner edge pieces. I use a very similar procedure as I did in the 4x4. So this is coming along. The next step is to pair up the inner edges with their proper edges. The way I do this is I put one target edge in the front right. I like that front right, and then I'm going to work, and so this is the color I'm matching, and then I'm going to put the inner edge that matches it on the back left. So I need a blue. There's a blue right there, so I'll just flip it around. Now it's on in the back left. I'll do an E minus turn, do an R2, which pairs those up, and then I can put it back. Now, the way I keep track of this is that I want to do one composite edge at a time. So I won't just stop and match that. I want to match this one at the same time. And the way I do it is I very quickly flip this edge around. We go F minus, U minus, R minus, and did I say minus? I meant prime. Sorry about that. So now this red is available, and I just need to put a red in the back back left hand corner. And this, what this does, it means that once I finish this edge, it's done. So I don't have to worry about breaking an edge by accident, accidentally reusing. So there's a red right there. It's in the back, and I can just flip it around. Now I'm not worried about what I'm putting on this other side, and the reason is that eventually it just sorts itself out. Now this is an interesting case I have here because we have opposite colors on this edge here, and this is a very cool thing to fix because you don't even have to, you don't care at all about what's on the back left side, because this little move I'm going to show you doesn't affect it at all. What you do is you just do this move twice. You do a flip, doesn't matter what comes in there. You flip over the edge, then you do another flip, and you'll have fixed one edge. You do another flip, and you do it again, and boom, you've fixed them both, and it didn't actually change what was on the other side here at all. So that's a way of quickly flipping two inner edge pieces around. You just do it. I guess you do it 3 times. Did I say twice? Okay, so this green is already here. The green's there. Actually, look, I have that situation again, and that happens. So I'll just go ahead and very quickly fix it up. In fact, I didn't really have to do much because the green we actually already had from over here. Okay, so I might be doing this maybe a little quickly for you. Feel free to just re-watch this. So we're going to pair up the white, and that's it. So this one's done. Okay, and by just doing one at a time, eventually you're going to get one where you swap. It always works out. There are no parities in doing these composite edges. So I need a yellow. There's my yellow. Okay. So I need a green. There's my green. And now the process of matching that also match the orange, and that'll happen as you go through it. So I need a red. There's a red right there. Okay, and I've been doing this a lot. I think once you solve this a few times, you'll see that it just goes very quickly. Okay, there's another one. So as we get down to the end here, what we expect to find is one on the other side that has the matching. So there's an orange. Okay. Okay, now to make things easier for me, as I'm getting down to the very end, I know that this one's not matched, so I'm just going to flip it around. Now notice we have here, I think this is the last one, and this is just the opposites that I showed you before, and that's 3 swaps. We do 1, don't care about what's on the other side, 2, 3. There you go. Okay, and I believe that that is everything. Take a good look around the puzzle just before you decide you've done them all, because it's really kind of awkward to fix it in. It's not really hard, but it's just it's a good thing. Okay, so the next step then will be to restore the centers and to do the 3x3 solve. So we finished pairing up our edges and our inner edge pieces, and we're almost ready to start the 3x3 solve, but there's one little detail first. We have to make sure that none of the centers, or that the centers are in their proper positions. Sometimes they get knocked out. So I have my white, I have my yellow, they're opposite, and what I need then with yellow is blue, orange, green, and red. Okay, so they're correct. If you did have to swap two two centers at this point, you'd want to do it so that you're not breaking the inner edge pieces. So for example, if I have this and I were to do it, you would see that this would mix up 2 of the inner edge pieces. So if you did have to swap centers at this stage, all you do is the 2 centers you have, you put the same color on both sides. Okay, and then when you swap it, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, so that's how you would deal with that case. In my case, I didn't have to. I have blue, orange, green, and red, so it's correct. And by the way, my method of always solving on one corner, that helps, though it is possible if you get one odd number of swaps, that you'll swap 2 of your centers. Okay, so that was the step I was going to show you. The final step is to solve the 3x3. So let's go ahead and do that. So your Whithaven Mixup Plus 3x3 is now, it's back to cubic form. All of the inner edges are paired up with their edges. So you know what? This is a 3x3, and it's a really nice, very smooth turning 3x3. I really like this this Whithaven. So, and what I'm going to probably be showing you, demonstrating convincingly, is that I really can't talk and solve a cube at the same time. I think we saw that in my test solve. So now I have my bottom plus sign, and I use a F2L method, and I'm not really a speed cuber, but it just kind of simplifies things a little bit. So let's see, I have my red and green. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and solve this now. Okay, feel free to laugh at me for making mistakes like that. Okay, I swear I don't do that, except when I'm filming myself. There we go. So now I have the bottom two layers, first two layers. We should not have any parity problems right now if we did a test solve. But if we were going to have a parity problem, the one you would see at this point before you do last layer is the one flipped edge. And I will show you that at the very end. But if you have one flipped edge, so if you have a situation where you just have one edge sticking out, or you have all three and then one of them's wrong, I'll show you how to fix that. It's very easy to fix, and it doesn't hurt the rest of your solve. But the other one where you have swapped edges, you have to wait until you've done the last layer. So I will go ahead and do the last layer here. If I can figure out what this, if I can figure out what this is. Okay, I think it's pretty clear that I do better when I don't talk when I'm trying to solve the last layer. Okay, so I just have a standard 3 cycle. Okay, that's it. Now, if you hadn't done the test solve at this point, you might be looking at 2 swapped edges, which is fine. You can then just go ahead and do the middle layer algorithm, the parity correction algorithm from the Mixup cube, and then you would have to resolve it. You'd have some edges would be, some inner edge pieces would be broken, but it's not really a big deal. It's just extra work. Okay, so in the next piece, I'm just going to show you, this is solved, but I'm going to show you the one other thing that you might find in the last layer. So this is our other parity case where one of the edges is flipped. Okay, and we really can't tell which one it is here, but it really doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and solve the cube as if one of the edges is was correct, and I'll just go ahead and do last layer. This is where you see it. So one of these is flipped, and I really can't tell right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and solve. You might also have one where there's 3 and then it's obvious which one's flipped. Okay, well now it's obvious which one's flipped, and it's that one. So let's assume that that one's correct, and go ahead and finish the solve. Here. So I've solved it ignoring the one that's flipped, and you'll see that everything is correct except for that one edge. So I'm going to show you how to flip that one edge. It's a neat little algorithm, and it won't affect anything else on the cube. Okay, so we're going to do the last little thing here, and this is if you have this flipped edge, which I think is also 50% of the time. You're going to get one of those. You could have both. Normally you detect this just as you start the last layer, and you can apply the algorithm then, or you can just go ahead and apply it right at the end. It doesn't really matter because this is a totally non-destructive algorithm. It's really cool. I got this from Andrea, who's a member of the Twisty Puzzles forum, so it's a really cool algorithm. So we're going to do an S plus, which is a 45-degree turn of the S layer. 45-degree clockwise, and then I'm going to do RE 4 times. Now E is the E layer, and now this is a 90-degree E turn, so watch that. So it's R, E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that was my RE 4 times. I'm going to do a U minus. And now I'm going to reverse what I did. I'm going to do E prime R prime 4 times. So E prime, and remember it's a 90 degree R prime, that's once. E prime R prime, that's 3 times. E prime R prime, that was 4 times. Now I'm going to do a U, and I'm going to do an S minus. So we flip that edge, and that is it for the 3x3 Mix-Up Plus from Eden. I welcome your comments, and thanks for watching.